Welcome back to class. Today we're going to take a look at Act 3, Scenes 1 and 2 of Romeo and Juliet, where our mood changes dramatically from Act 2. Inside of Act 2, what we had going on was young love, blossoming, all new, everything's hopeful, everyone's happy. Now Act 3, something a lot different is going on. We're actually going to have our turning point here shortly. Inside of Act 3, at the very beginning, you have Benvolio saying to Mercutio, "I pray thee, good Mercutio, let's retire. The day is hot, the Capulets abroad, and if we meet we shall not scape a brawl. For now these hot days is the mad blood stirring." We're setting the mood, the tone for this scene. What we also have going on here is a lot of, with that line 3, foreshadowing. There is going to be a brawl to end all brawls in this scene coming up fairly shortly. Later on, Mercutio responds to Benvolio, warning him that, hey, let's get off the street, when he says, "Thou art like one of these fellows that when he enters the confines of a tavern, claps me his sword upon the table and says, 'God send me no need of thee.'" This is ironic. You do have irony here. Of all people to warn our peacemaker Benvolio that he's a fighter, it would be Mercutio. If Mercutio is not looking for a party, he's looking for a fight. Further along into Act 3, Scene 1, Romeo enters the scene, and we have a touch here of dramatic irony. Now, with dramatic irony, once again, remember, you're watching a horror movie. You know that the bad guy is right behind the door, let's say, and we know that someone is going to get it as soon as they walk through that door. The audience knows what's going on. The characters do not. You have Romeo telling Tybalt, "Tybalt, the reason that I have to love thee doth much excuse the appertaining rage." What Tybalt does not know, Mercutio doesn't know, Benvolio doesn't know, is that Romeo has just married Tybalt's cousin, Juliet. And therefore Romeo is now Tybalt's cousin. So why would he even want to go and fight a new family member? Don't forget that Tybalt is also known right down here by another name from Mercutio, the good king of cats. That is, of course, Tybalt. Further on in the scene, what you have happen is Tybalt stabs Mercutio while Romeo is breaking up the fight. Tybalt is able to stab Mercutio by going underneath Romeo's arms as he's holding Mercutio back, and Mercutio gives us a wonderful pun right there with "ask for me tomorrow and you shall find me a grave man." Of course, working on the multiple definitions of grave. A serious man, which is something, of course, that you'll never find Mercutio to be, or a man who is in his grave. Mercutio then, later on, gives us a touch of foreshadowing when he repeats a line over and over again, quite a famous line from Mercutio, which is, "A plague o'er both your houses." This plague, this pestilence, this thing that will end the feud and end the families, potentially, is this fight and the death of Mercutio. This is foreshadowing, a hint of what's to come later in the play. Romeo experiences a fit of rage. He becomes enraged. He goes from peacemaker, "I don't want to hurt you, Tybalt, I can't tell you why," to a line where he is going to say, "Oh, I am fortune's fool." This is after, of course, killing Tybalt. And the death of Tybalt, remember, is by Romeo's hands. When Romeo becomes this enraged and he attacks Tybalt, he says this line that he's fortune's fool. Well, fortune is fate. And remember, this is a story, according to the very beginning of this play with the prologue, that is about star-crossed lovers. There's going to be a point at which they cannot control anything in their lives. Their lives are destined. for good and for bad. And I think that Romeo right now is finding out that his destiny is turning on him. It seemed to be out of his control that he killed Tybalt in this scene. The death of Mercutio, I include him in this, but definitely the death of Tybalt serves as the turning point of our play, the climax, if you will, of the play, where Romeo fights and kills Tybalt. Now, the majority of people just say that Tybalt's death is the climactic point of the play. I happen to think that it's also Mercutio's. It's definitely Act 3, Scene 1. That's the turning point of Romeo and Juliet. The reason that I say that Mercutio's death can be included into the turning point is it's the catalyst. Without the death of Mercutio, there cannot be the death of Tybalt. We have to enrage Romeo somehow. So Mercutio's death serves as the catalyst that brings us to the death of Tybalt, which is the true turning point of the play. But without one, you cannot have the other. Act 3, Scene 2 gives us a very famous soliloquy by Juliet. With the gallop apace she fiery-footed steeds towards Phoebus's lodging. This is her soliloquy right here. It's full of personification. Let's get soliloquy down first and find some personification. Personification is giving human characteristics to non-human things. And one of the non-human things that Romeo and Juliet find comforting is the night. What you have going on with this soliloquy is Juliet wants the day to end. She wants night to come along faster than it is, because with night will bring her love, her new husband, Romeo. Here we see that Juliet calls the night the sober-suited matron, all in black. Learn me how to lose a winning match played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Just one instance of personification in this particular soliloquy. We're giving human characteristics to a non-human thing, and that non-human thing is night. The question is, why are they so comfortable at night? Most people are afraid of the darkness, but not these two. They can only safely get together under the cover of night. Night is their friend. The nurse interrupts Juliet in her soliloquy, trying to get night to come along faster and faster. And here we're going to have another experience with dramatic irony. This is when the nurse has news that Tybalt has been killed by Romeo, but Juliet has no idea. Once again, we know something that a character does not, and this character happens to be Juliet this time. And the nurse, in her typical fashion, can't get to the point and give you the information that anybody needs. So Juliet believes that Romeo is the one who is dead, and we are undone, lady, we are undone. Alack the day, he's gone, he's killed, he's dead. Nowhere does the nurse tell us that the he is Tybalt. Towards the end of this scene, there's a rift, a tear between Juliet and the nurse. Over Romeo, I believe that Juliet no longer finds the nurse to be her confidant, the person that she goes to, who she can tell everything to. The nurse says there's no trust, no faith, no honesty in men, all perjured, all forsworn, all not, all dissemblers. Ah, where's my man? Give me some aqua vitae. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo. Juliet makes a split-second decision here. Blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. Here she is realizing, I am first a wife, second a daughter, third a cousin. She's going to tell her tears to stop. She now has to be the wife to Romeo. When this happens, we realize that Juliet is making this very important decision on what exactly her new role as this new woman will be. She's Romeo's wife above all else.